Good afternoon, everyone. It's Louise here from Eleanor Grace. And so we are coming towards the end of our bunting section of the Japanese inspired stitch along. So hopefully, if you've been taking part, you will have a range of stitches which we've learnt. We've learnt a bit about the background and the basic rules of Sashiko and Boro. Not overlapping stitches and going all in one direction first before doing the rest. We've also tried some of the basic stitches. So we've got sort of hitomazashi, which is the main just running stitch, and you can do that in a row. You can do it like I have here, and then offset against the previous row, which is quite a nice look. And you can also just do single hitomazashi stitches just to highlight areas of your pieces. We also learned the hitomazashi star, and also we've been looking at using different prompts. So we had sort of the wandering, and also various other prompts over the period that we've done so far. And what we're going to do now, I'm not quite at that point, but I'm getting there, is to go on to putting our bunting together. So I wanted to show you this, even though I'm not 100% at that point. What I was envisaging, and it's totally up to you what you want to do. You could quite happily just attach I've got grain ribbon here, which I was foreseeing us doing a double-sided bunting and attaching either side. So what I would say is, in order to get your piece of bunting, those of you that ordered kits will have 2 meters of this in either the nude pink, which is this one, or the white. And I would envisage having at least sort of 20 centimeters or so at the start, which I think is about 8 inches, just to make sure you've got enough for a loop. Now you either can tie the bunting on, depending on where you're putting it. You may have something to tie it around, so you may not want to make a loop. But what I was envisaging for where I'm going to put it is that I will probably double this over and just stitch a little loop here. What I might even do is make it a decorative stitch and maybe stitch just a little bit here, so it sort of makes it part of the design. So it's up to you. If you don't want to make the bunting 2 meters long, and that's why I've given everyone 2 meters, but you might not want that length, just have a little fiddle around with them. See if you can lay it out across a table, if you've got a kitchen or a dining room table, where you can lay out the length of fabric and look at where the bunting's going to go. I've seen some beautiful examples on the group. If you're not already on our group, do come and join us. It's in Facebook, and it's Slow Stitching by Hand with Eleanor Grace. I've seen some of the ones on there. They've done the pieces quite close to each other, which I think looks absolutely gorgeous, and then others have sort of spaced it out a little bit more. It's totally up to you, and I don't want to sort of tell you what to do with yours, because it will depend on what you prefer. But I would say make sure you leave yourself sort of 20 centimeters, 8 inches either side of the piece, because you will need to attach it in some way. So that should be quite easy to do. Now what you can do, my idea was that we do have these back to back, so you have them reversible, so you can have one side showing for one season or 1 week, and then you can flip it over and have the other side. And so what I was envisaging, but again it's totally up to you, was putting this ribbon in the middle of your 2 pieces and then just stitching it in place. Now what you will need to do is to stitch your pieces together in whatever way you're wanting to do that. Obviously if we're following the Boro Sashiko aesthetic perfectly, then we probably would just do a little running stitch all the way around, and that would encompass this a ribbon here. So you could do that. If you wanted to go a little bit off piste, you could of course do any other stitch that you fancy, whether you want to whip stitch all the way around or whether you fancy doing a blanket stitch. I mean, we're not sticking with the 100% Sashiko Boro ethics. Otherwise, you know, we would probably be doing this quite differently. But you can do it however you feel. Another thing you could do is if you had pieces that you've purposely not put the, you know, not put something at the top, you could have the ribbon across it like that. That's also equally doable. This bit I really think is up to you. It's up to you as to how you want to space it. You may want to, as I say, just lay out your piece and even just pin the pieces on, but make sure whatever you are doing, do have an equal distance between them. So if your distance between them is, say, 4 inches, which is about 10 centimeters, have 10 centimeters between each of them. Just so it looks, you know, it looks good. And then cut your piece of ribbon to fit. So you should have a good 8 inches, 20 centimeters start and end, and then what you do in the middle is completely up to you. But my idea is that it's reversible. So these pieces are going on the front. You'll have seen these a few times, so I won't sort of labour over those. So my front is, that's going on the back. My front is going to be pink and blue. So these pieces are going on the front. I'm going to do a couple of more. In fact, I'm going to show you a couple I've just done with some little ideas of stitching and introducing you to another type of stitch. What we will do then next week is move on to the Kanzashi flowers. And those of you who have already ordered the kits, you will get a third Kanzashi flower to do. We're going to do the first one next week. I'll record the video around that time as well for the those who bought a kit at the start. And I will tell you in a minute what you're going to need for that. And then we will do another Kanzashi flower the week after. Then we're going to be going on to our Boro sampler pad, and I'm going to do more Sashiko stitches for you there, some new ones that we haven't tried already, and we will see where we go from there. So this is going to be part of my front. I'm going to have probably, I don't know yet, probably 6 or maybe 7 in total on the front, and then I'm making the back ones are going to be sort of more greens and oranges because I'm thinking of autumn. And although this looks very spring-like, it could also fit in with a sort of autumnal sort of background. So I'm just having a think really. And this one is a really fantastic piece of thread, and I've slightly gone off piece. I have done a Hitamazashi running stitch here on certain pieces just to pick out the colours, but I'm just having a little play with this one at the moment. I haven't got very far. I have 2 that I have finished, and I just wanted to show you these. So there is another type of stitching called moyazashi. Moyazashi is a curved, more of a curved stitch. Now this is a bit of my version of it. Usually this stitch is very close together, and whilst they never cross each other, they're very closely put together. And I will do some more of this because I absolutely love doing this, but I slightly cheated, and I'm going to show you a little hack that I did because I don't have a stencil for moyazashi, and you do want each of them to be the same size, otherwise it's going to look very strange. So I'm going to show you how I hacked this one. I was thinking to myself, what can I use? Can I use a coin or a something like that, or a button or a bead or something? And I was working with some cotton perlé and the label dropped out, and I thought, hey, hold on a minute, that is the perfect size for my moyazashi circle. So what I did is I started stitching around there, and I took that out and I thought, oh, what can I find? Now these are some of my, I love these. I've got them in, I've got a few of these in pink and purple, and I really love them, and they were just the right size for the inner circle. So I thought to myself, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do the outer circle and then I'll do the inner circle, and I'll see if I can then do the other one by hand. So I don't know what you think, I think I did all right. It's, you know, I would say it's not 100%. I feel like I've gone higher here, but, you know, again, slow stitching. It's not meant to be perfect. So I felt quite happy with that. And I was going to do like a little bit more and just go off the side. And then I thought, do you know what? I think for me, that's got enough, because by the time I attach it, I'm going to be sewing around the edges anyway. So I feel like that actually, that was fine. I enjoyed that. I really, really enjoyed that. So that was, that's called moizashi. And it just literally is usually a curve or a slightly more softer version. It's not straight. So I thought that really did appeal to me. So I thought I'll do that one. And then this one is this lovely piece of indigo cotton fabric, and I had this nice pattern on it, but I only had a piece big enough to cut out part of any one of the patterns. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to slightly go with them, but I'm going to get lost in the stitching. And so what I did is a bit like those puzzles that you get. I don't know if anyone is a keen puzzler like me, where you try and find the pathway through something. And I decided partway through, I'll keep coming back on myself. And then I got to a point and thought, no, I'm going to stop that one, and I'm going to start another one and go off in another direction. And you know, I absolutely loved that. And I can say that doing this was not only one of the quickest things that I've made, but it was also the most mindful. I would say mindless almost, because I got lost in it. I was listening to some music, and it just went. It just moved really quickly. And I just really enjoyed every second of this process. So yeah, that's another little one that I've got done. So that's going to be added to my front one. So I'm getting there. I've got almost enough for the front. And then I'm going to have a look at whether this one goes in with the front, which I think it probably will, or if it goes to the back. And I'm going to get some more orange and sort of green and maybe slightly autumnal colours for the back. So what I also wanted to show you was what you're going to need for the, as I say, for the Kanzashi flower that we're going to do next week. What you will be surprised to hear is that I am going to teach you the more complex one first. So this is one I've just made up recently. And what you will need is some organza ribbon. Now this is very pale. It's got this gold edge for some reason. When I made this, most of the gold went underneath. This one little bit didn't. And I don't care really. Now this is it's a bit of a strange one, me teaching you the more complex one first, but the reason for that is that actually the two I'm going to teach you are very different. If you're, as I say, if you have ordered the original packs, you do get a third one as well, which is more akin to the second one of the two we're going to be doing. So the two techniques I'm going to show you, they're quite different. So I think actually doing this one first gives you a bit of practice, because I will say this is fiddly. The only reason this one is a bit difficult is because of the nature of the fabric. So obviously organza, very fine, also slightly crunchy, and it is a small pieces we're working with. So what I would say is this is a bit thicker. This one is a very old one here. It's even in yards, and we haven't. That's actually American. Oh, there we go. So we haven't dealt with yards for many years in the UK. You should have some of this in your kit. If not, I would say to get hold of organza ribbon of at least 38 to 40 millimeters, 40 plus if you can, which is about 1 3/4 inches. So at least 1.5, but thicker than 1.5 if you can. Just if you start slightly bigger, it's a little bit easier. And this, yeah, these are lovely. I am a mad keen fan of Kanzashi flowers, and if you're on the group, you will see me sharing lots lots of versions of this that I've made. I had also made these into little hair grips, which I will show you next week. I may well show that as well. I wasn't intending to originally, but so many people in the group had said that they loved the little hairpins. So I think we may well get round to doing that one as well. What you will need on top of this is very simple. That's not an awful lot you need for this. You just need the organza ribbon. And then if you wanted to embellish it, which I do quite often, I do think it makes them look slightly elevated, is for some little small beads or little pearls. I would say to go fairly small, because it can anything too big can slightly overwhelm the delicateness of this this lovely design. So, but it's up to you. You know, obviously you go for whatever you want. And we will have a bit of fun putting these together. The only other thing you will need is ideally sewing thread, rather than using embroidery floss or anything like that, or cotton perle. You really need some fairly fine thread, ideally that's either cotton or polyester, and ideally in the shade of the piece that you're working on. So if you've got, I mean, white would be fine on this, cream would be fine on this, but if I was to do bright red stitching, you would soon see it. So to try and come up with something akin to what you've got in terms of colours for the stitching. But, you know, bear in mind, this is a practice. So when you've made one, you may really love it. You may really not love it. But I would say it's something that takes a little bit of practice. So we'll have some fun with that next week. So I look forward to seeing you again next week. And once we've done our Kanzashi flower next week and the one the week after, as I say, we'll be moving on to our Boro practice pad. And I'm going to introduce some more stitches that are very familiar with Sashiko and Boro, and things that I've discovered over the time that I've been researching this that I really, really love. And I would say you could start getting together your bits for the practice pad as well, because we will soon be on to that. And at that point, when I've started doing the practice pad, I am going on holiday for a week just after that, so you'll have plenty of time to practice. But ready for next week. If you want to finish off your bunting, or if you want to continue that over the next few weeks alongside what we're doing with these Kanzashi flowers, we will get onto these and enjoy that next week. So I hope you have a lovely rest of the weekend and a lovely week. And I will catch you again next week. Okay, bye.